Hello dear students, let us today discuss about the organization of DNA. As we all know, DNA is a double stranded structure in which the two strands of DNA are coiled around each other to form a double helix. Now these are the two strands, this is one strand, this is the other strand. These are coiled around each other in the right-handed manner in most of the cases, and we get the duplex of the DNA. In our cells, if we collect the DNA from all the chromosomes and make a linear structure, then that whole structure will be around 2 meters in length. The whole DNA in a duplex human cells is around 2 meter or 2.2 meter to be exact in length, and the size of the nucleus is 10 raised to power minus 6 meter. This is the size of the nucleus. So how such a long molecule can be put inside such a small nucleus? For that, nature has devised a manner, that is, the nature has organized the DNA molecule in such a manner that it becomes very compact, and it takes the forms of the chromosomes, and these chromosomes can be put very easily inside the nucleus. So let's see how all this happens. This is the double helical molecule of DNA. It is around 2 nm, that is 2 nanometer in thickness. This is around 2 nanometer in thickness, and one single turn of DNA is around 3.4 nm in length, that is 3.4 nm, or you can say 34 armstrongs. Similarly, the distance between the two nitrogenous bases is 0.34 nm, or you can say 3.4 armstrongs. So these are the dimensions of a double helical molecule of DNA. A single complete turn is 34 Armstrong long. The distance between the nitrogenous bases is 3.4 Armstrong, and the thickness of the molecule is 2 nanometers. So this is the dimensions of the DNA. So what happens if we put the linear molecule of DNA inside a nucleus? Then that molecule can get tangled within itself, and it will be very difficult for the synthesis of RNA, that is transcription and replication also, and so many other things. So we have to make compact chromosomes from this linear molecule of DNA. So how all this happens? Let's see. So first of all, what happens? This DNA molecule gets to form the nucleosomes. So what are these nucleosomes? These nucleosomes have the histones as the core proteins, and this double helical molecule of DNA gets to wound around these histone core in around 1.75 turns. So this linear molecule of DNA gets to form the nucleosomes first. So let's see what are the nucleosomes. Nucleosomes have basic proteins in the center, basic proteins. So what are these basic proteins? These are called histones. Why these are called basic proteins? Because the amino end of all these proteins have so many basic amino acids, and the carboxylic end generally have hydrophobic amino acids. So what happens when such a chain of amino acids forms the three-dimensional structure? Then this carboxylic end comes in the center, and you have got the amino end tangling outside. because this end is the hydrophilic because of the basic nature of the amino acids here, and this carboxylic end is the hydrophobic. So you have got 4 types of histones mainly. These are called H1, H2, H3 and H4. H2 has got 2 subtypes, that is H2A and H2B. So when we get to form the nucleosomes, all these 4 kinds of histones, that is H2A, H2B, H3 and H4 get to form the histone core structure. This is, suppose this is H2A, H2B, H3 and H4. All these combine together to form the tetramer of the histone proteins. Now 2 such tetramers get together. This is one tetramer made up of H2A, H2B, H3 and H4. Suppose this is one more tetramer. This is also made up of H2A, H2B, H3 and H4. These 2 tetramers get together to form the octamer of the histone proteins. This is one tetramer of histones. This is the other tetramer of histones. These 2 lie parallel to each other to form the octamer. So this is histone octamer. Histone octamer. So now what happens? This DNA double helix gets wound around this histone octamer in the left-handed manner, and it forms around 1.75 turns around these core histones, and we get to have the nucleosomes. So what are the nucleosomes? Nucleosomes are actually double helical structure of DNA wound around the histones, and you get such kind of bead like structure. So these are the nucleosomes. So what about this H1 histone? What happens to it? This H1 actually binds the entry point and the exit point of the DNA double helix around the core histones. So this is H1. This is the entry point of this DNA double helix around the histone proteins, and this is the exit point. This is exit point, this is entry point. So this H1 histone binds these 2 ends together. So it forms a part in the stability of the DNA molecule around the histone proteins. So ultimately this is one nucleosome, and when this DNA double helix comes outside, it gets to wound around the other core proteins, core histones, and you have the other nucleosome. And there are so many like this, again and again the same process keeps on repeating, and you get so many nucleosomes. This DNA which links the 2 nucleosomes together, this part of DNA, this much which links the 2 nucleosomes together is called linker DNA. This is what it is, linker DNA. It has got around 30 base pairs. This is linker DNA. It has got around 30 base pairs, and these 1.75 turns of DNA double helix around the histone proteins have around 145 base pairs. So ultimately you get a structure like this. If this is DNA double helix, these are the nucleosomes, this is linker DNA, nucleosomes, linker DNA, nucleosomes, and you get this structure which is called beads on string appearance. Beads on string appearance of DNA. So first we had the DNA double helical structure, then this DNA double helix gets to wound around in the left-handed manner around the histone proteins to form the nucleosomes. These nucleosomes are attached to each other with the help of linker DNA, and the histone 1 protein binds the entry point and the exit point of the DNA double helix around the histone core proteins. So let's see what happens next. Till now we have synthesized the DNA, beads on string appearance. So this is the beads on string appearance of DNA. Now what happens? This beads on string DNA forms the coils, so that there are around 6 to 7 nucleosomes per turn. So this string, it gets to wound around itself, so that there are around 6 to 7 nucleosomes per turn, so that you get a structure like this. Histone 1 proteins, that is H1 protein, have the major role in stabilizing this structure. So this structure is known as chromosome fibril. This is chromatin fibril. Or chromosome fibril. So again, suppose we demonstrate this whole fibril like this with a straight line like this. So let's see what happens next. Now this chromatin fibril gets attached in the form of loops to the nuclear matrix scaffolding. This is the scaffolding. It is made up of actually proteins which happen to be inside the nuclear matrix, or we can say nuclear matrix is made up of many proteins, and these proteins act like scaffolding for attachment of these loops of the chromatin fibril. If we see in the cross section, it can be shown like this. This is the scaffolding, and these loops are attached to this scaffolding like this all around it. So we get a structure like this. They say there are around 30,000 to 1 lakh base pairs per loop. These loops can be larger or smaller. There are around 30,000 to 1 lakh base pairs per loop, and it's also said that one loops actually is concerned with the single structure or function. So this is how we get this loop like structure of the DNA double helix on the nuclear matrix scaffolding. Now let's see what happens. Suppose we show the loop like structure. So these are the loops. Now this loop like structure or this scaffolding gets to folded upon itself like this. These are the loops, and it gets folded upon itself, so that we get the one limb of the chromosome. So let's see, this is the DNA double helix. This is around 2 nanometer in thickness. When we get to form the nucleosomes, then this becomes around 10 nanometer in thickness. So this beads on string is 10 nanometer in thickness. When we get to form the chromatin fibril, this structure, it is around 30 nanometer in thickness. So fibril is 30 nanometer in thickness, and when we form the loops attached to the nuclear scaffolding, this is 300 nanometer in thickness. And when these loops get to fold upon itself and we get the one limb of the chromosome. This is 700 nanometer in thickness. Suppose this is a chromosome, this is a centromere, this is one arm, these are the short arms, these are the longer arms. Suppose we get the cut section here and we enlarge it, then we can say such kind of structure. These are actually loops folded upon itself, and this is 700 nanometer in thickness. Suppose we get to see part, this much part, these can be enlarged like this. This is actually like this, made up of the loops attached to the scaffolding. Suppose we enlarge this much part here, then we can see structure like this. This one linear line is actually made up of a chromatin fibril. And suppose we enlarge this much, then we will see that it is actually made up of the nucleosomes, which are in turn made up of the DNA double helix wound around the histone core proteins, and this is our DNA double helix. So this is how such a large molecule of DNA double helix can be put inside a very small nucleus.